Welcome to Awaken Health Pod. I'm Jennifer Grogan, Integrative Health Coach with Greenleaf Wellness in Central Illinois, and with me is my co-host, Shanna Scordel, Integrative Health Coach with Inspire Wellness for You, all the way in Arizona. Hey, Shanna, how are you today?
Hi, Jen. I'm great, and it's January 8th, 2018. We are on episode 7 for Awaken Health podcast. And good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. So, our topic today is going to be on caffeine, and then with caffeine, of course, we'll talk about some of the differences between teas and coffee and caffeine milligrams and all kinds of things today. So let's talk about this mood altering drug, actually, caffeine. And Jen, you want to share a little bit about some of your experiences that you've had with caffeine?
Sure. Back in the day, I used to be the Mountain Dew girl. I drank Mountain Dew all the time to the point where I would get the constipation, diarrhea, the bloating, irritability, jitters, just really craving that sweetness of the freshness of the Mountain Dew. That was my go-to drink. The headaches, just not feeling right, the acne, just the imbalances of overall, feel good, just wasn't there. So it wasn't until my menstrual cycle started getting more painful, because they will tell you, females lay off the caffeine during that time because of the cramping.
Right.
And I don't know if you've experienced that yourself, but it's horrible. But when you're addicted to it, it takes a while for that to register. No different than the chocolate bars too, because it's got all the caffeine in there too. So it's like, those are my go-tos, and I felt like crap all the time. So that's just a little bit of how I felt with it. And then getting off of it was a blessing in disguise, turning to water and some different teas and not experiencing the symptoms that I was having. So caffeine's not really your friend. I mean, it might help you get along for the day, but it's not something that you want to rely 100% on.
I wanted to ask you about that. Do you think that you were having these symptoms from the sugar, from the Mountain Dew, from the soda, from the caffeine? What did you end up realizing?
I think it was all the mix. Because Mountain Dew has a lot of sugar in it, just like any regular can of soda, it's going to have all the sugar. But the caffeine, I think, too, just all of it combined.
Yeah.
You're not eating right, but those were my go-tos, chocolates and especially the Mountain Dew. So I would go through several cans a day.
How long did it take you to actually went from the time that you stopped drinking all the Mountain Dew to the time that your new drink was water and teas, and you transitioned? How long did it take you for you to notice that you felt, I imagine, tremendously better?
It took a while, just because it's that addiction to that caffeine, to get off of it, to realize, okay, now I'm drinking something different. But when you do switch over, and I guess if you're real mindful at that time, you can notice it probably right away. We're talking, that was quite a while ago, right, so to fully remember. But
yeah,
as with anything, I think that if you're consuming too much of it and you're addicted to it, to get off of it, you realize, oh my gosh, I feel so much better.
Yeah. I'm glad
instantly.
You mentioned the addiction part, because in my research, a lot of people will say, oh my gosh, I wake up just so exhausted. I'm too tired. I'm too old. It's my body. I have to have coffee. I'm addicted to it. My body has to have it. Well, actually, it's more just to correct some language. Caffeine, or coffee even, is actually, it's not addicting. It doesn't have addicting properties in it. What it does have, though, is it has dependency properties in it. And believe it or not, most of the time, these symptoms of waking up tired and groggy, and your body doesn't want to move, and you have a headache, and you have zero energy to get your work done for the day, and people misconceive these with natural feelings of being tired, but these are actually symptoms from caffeine. These are withdrawals. So what's happening is, we wake up in the morning, if somebody is used to having just a cup a day of coffee, or a higher milligram caffeine, drink a soda. So they have this every day, and it actually takes, within about 4 hours, half of the consumption is processed throughout the body, but it actually takes approximately 12 hours for the body to process out the caffeine that you had in the morning. So what's happening is, typically by the time we're going to bed is when the caffeine is actually out of our system. And so therefore when you wake up, you're waking up with these withdrawal symptoms, the grogginess, the headache, the tiredness, just like your body can't move. And therefore people think, oh, I'm tired, I need to have caffeine or coffee or some version of it. So what happens is, once people don't have this, dependency each morning, after a few days, you're waking up with a sustained energy, a different type of tired, like, oh, I'm tired, but I can still get done today what I need to get done. So how does any of this portion of what I said resonate with you, Jen?
I agree with that. I think that it kicks your adrenal glands into gear more, so feel like you get more done, on the go, and
Yeah.
also can cause you fatigue. But yeah, I mean, I truly believe that, because your body's relying on that, and that's your fuel source.
Right.
And when you wake up in the morning and you're depleted of that, it's like, oh my gosh, that's why people drink 3, 4 cups in the morning just to get going.
Yeah.
And that's not a real good alternative, because it's not good for the lining of your stomach and stuff like that. So yeah, I can totally agree with that.
Some of my experiences with coffee or caffeine in general is that I've never been a big soda drinker, and I have always loved teas, herbal teas, caffeine teas, decaf teas. But I kind of have had these weaves where I do like coffee. I like the making, the process, and the grinding the fresh beans, and I like the smell, and I enjoy the flavor and the taste. But I'll get bloated, which is a symptom from caffeine. I will, I not feel my best emotionally. I know that I'll feel wired, and that's great, but I like how I feel just being my normal state of energy. And I've always noticed an increase in hunger by the end of the day. And I notice too that by the end of the day, I'm exhausted. So if I have coffee one morning as a treat, by the end of the day, I'm like ravished and exhausted. And I'm like, wait, why do people drink this to lose weight? But actually, what happens with that is, so if people are newly drinking coffee, a lot of times, or having caffeine, a lot of times people will do it because they think that it's beneficial for weight loss. What happens is, this is a short term concept. So when you first start consuming the caffeine for weight loss, it will speed up your metabolism. Therefore, it can help with weight loss. However, long term, your body, it just becomes accustomed to it, and the whole weight loss thing goes out the window. And because caffeine in higher concentrations will increase your cortisol level hormone internally, then that increases your hunger and exasperates stress. And it's just amazing, how much levels of caffeine just kind of throws your body out of whack.
Right. And with caffeine too, I know there's health benefits if you're not over consuming it. You want to do everything moderately. So there's also health hindrances that go along with the caffeine as well. So like you said, the stress, it amplifies that. Another thing for people with diabetes, type 2, it causes a rise in the blood sugar
It
levels.
does. It does. Even if you don't have diabetes, caffeine will increase your
Mm-hmm.
insulin levels, and it takes months to bring it down after reducing your caffeine consumption.
Yeah, and like, was it 4 cups of coffee or just caffeine in general, can raise the blood pressure for many hours
Oh,
after
yeah,
drinking it. So if you start off your morning with that and you've already got high blood pressure and you're on high blood pressure medicines, the coffee is just going to amplify that even more throughout
for
your whole
sure.
entire day. And then you're just going to feel more sluggish, and you might experience some other things that you're not aware of. So
Yeah.
just don't overconsume it. If you want that little pick me up, it's not going to hurt you here and there. but to
Right.
rely on it 24/7, that's where I'm a little cautious. I always ask my
Yeah.
clients, how much caffeine do you drink? Or if they say, well, I like tea, well, is it decaf?
Right.
So I'm always checking that, because if it's something you like, you're going to be drinking it throughout your day. So I just want to make sure that my clients know, stay even and lower it if you're consuming too much of it.
Well, when you mentioned how the caffeine will increase your blood pressure. So what happens is I know a lot of listeners have heard of the flight or fight response. And so what happens is anytime your heart, your pulse or your heart rate or your blood pressure is being risen, this is going to cause exasperations on irritability, mood, feelings, emotions, your flight or fight response. I mean, anytime your body, your heart is pumping harder, the stress is going to be induced harder. So even if it's just simple things, they can be amplified, exasperated, and this is a symptom from caffeine. And what happens is there's so many things we're going to talk about because the difference between, coffee versus espresso. Well, coffee actually does have 1 to 200 milligrams of caffeine per cup if it's drip coffee. If it's espresso, it has less milligrams of caffeine. And then, for example, a cup of caffeinated green tea has, I think, about 45 milligrams of caffeine. So you're talking about 1 cup of green tea's caffeine level versus 1 cup of coffee is 3 times the amount on average in a drip form. So
Wow.
it's really easy to not really know where you're getting your consumption. And then these days, I mean, there's actually hidden caffeine in everything. The caffeine's now in shampoo, eye cream, body bars, you know Tylenol, Excedrin. It's just hidden everywhere, body scrubs, all sorts of different things. And so I don't know the studies based on if you're actually using it in skincare products, if it actually is going to cause, these increased symptoms that caffeine will do. However, I do know that caffeine acts like alcohol and sodium with your skin. Therefore, it will dry out your skin. And then, you get problems from that. So I don't even know why it's actually in these health, skincare products and stuff like that. Even gum, there's caffeine in gum, different types of gums. So it's just like it has effect on your heart, on your diabetes, on your insulin, I mean your skin, your mood. So really it's really something important that I think we should pay attention to.
Hmm. Just like sugar, that can dry out your skin and causes wrinkles. Well, caffeine can age you too. So it's kind of one of those, how much am I consuming? Do I need to cut back? And just be really cautious of how much you're putting in there,
Yeah.
in your body.
Yeah.
Because I think too that caffeine can also put a block up for detoxifying properly.
Mm.
So you want to keep everything moving in your body so you can have the detox when you're supposed to. So there again, that's the constipation. I'm not going. I'm not detoxing. So it's
Right.
really important to just be cautious how much you're putting in, and drink lots of water.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because so I know that high levels of caffeine, so we'll kind of stay at the coffee situation here, does mess up your gut. It messes up your gut bacteria. And I know we talk about this a lot on our podcast for different topics, but it's very important because what happens with this is people say, well, I'll just have decaf. Well, although coffee does have health benefits like antioxidants and such, well, first of all, tea has the exact same amount of health benefits, as far as I'm understanding correctly, as coffee, but the tea has less caffeine. So then let's talk about decaf. Decaf coffee, in the terms of caffeine, has also the same health benefits as caffeinated coffee. It's got the same antioxidant levels and everything. It's just got the reduced caffeine. But the problem isn't the caffeine versus the decaf. The problem is that the coffee is acidic and it's the acidity that interrupts the gut. And so once a lot of people will consume caffeine if they have asthma to breathe better and stuff like that, and they feel like it opens up their lungs. But what happens is the acidity from the coffee, for example, whether it's caffeine or decaf, interrupts the gut. It actually will cause flare ups for autoimmune disorders, adrenal fatigue, asthma. So there's just so many different properties here, that we're talking about, right? Is, the caffeine, the decaf, the health benefits, what does the acidity levels do to you? And then, like you said, with, bloating and digestive problems, that's what happens with the caffeine.
Exactly. So you got your probiotic, you're going to drink your water, you got your kombucha. You're going to start detoxing, so yeah, be mindful. There is people like to work out, and I guess I can go back and forth on this one. Caffeine before working out. Now, they say that it helps with the duration of your workouts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one of the areas I'd be cautious of, if you're not so much of a caffeine drinker, but you want it for your workouts, be careful of the crash after.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, because the headaches, here you are, you're doing your workout for maybe an hour, hour and a half, you're sweating, your body's obviously in a change in that hour and a half of working, and you get all this caffeine pumping you up. Well, when you're done, you're going to have a crash of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're already a caffeine drinker, it might benefit you. But if you haven't been one to do much caffeine, I don't know if, I guess I'm torn. I guess you could try it and say, okay, well, I feel fine, doing a little caffeine before a workout. I guess for me, I know I would have that crash and get a major headache. So,
right. And then a lot of people will go to 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock and get another coffee or another version of caffeine because of the crash.
And then there's the whole cycle again,
right.
It's like, give me that caffeine,
right.
so.
And then you're going to bed and it's not even out of your system, so then it's interrupting your sleep.
Yeah, because now you're energized, so.
Real stuff here, guys. This really happens.
So I guess if you are a caffeine person, it probably wouldn't bother you to do a little caffeine before a workout. But if you're not, just be cautious. See how you feel afterwards. You might be fine, but just be cautious that you might have those headaches.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned the word cautious, because this is one of my biggest takeaways for the listeners. It's not never drink coffee again or never have any form of caffeine. I have read that if you're going to have caffeine for a workout, it's important that you have it in a timely manner, that like you're having the caffeine and within 20 minutes you've started your workout. So, but my biggest takeaway from the listeners is I want you to be cautious. I want you to connect with your mind and body. So be mindful. If you have coffee because you're working out, make sure you're hydrated, like Jen said, throughout the day. When that crash comes, just kind of understand. We don't always have to fix things. We don't always have to put a Band-Aid over it. Just understand, I had some energy. I worked out really hard. I just really need to focus on my fruits and veggies and proteins and hydration for the rest of the day. Get a good night's sleep. Most people don't work out 7 days a week. So the next day, here's the takeaway. When you feel like you have to have the coffee or the caffeine, don't. That way you don't get in this cycle where you feel like you're dependent on it. This way, you wake up and you're like, okay, well, today I'm going to have some herbal tea or decaf just to kind of wean myself off of yesterday's, caffeine party. And then
right.
And then just, take care of yourself and nutrition yourself. That way you're not like having to be dependent on the coffee or the caffeine.
I agree.
Now,
yep, I agree.
So, this is so interesting. I wasn't really very familiar with this, but a lot of people, these days, they believe that they're gluten intolerant. Well, caffeine, coffee, for example, the bean comes from a fruit, coffee fruit, so it's a seed. Well, a lot of people who are gluten intolerant, their body, it accepts coffee. It thinks that it's like a gluten. That's the way the body reacts to it. So, because it's a seed, like a seed, grain, and everything like that. So, for those of you who are gluten intolerant and still are having problems, of course, make sure that you're not eating genetically modified grains because this is huge. But if you do drink coffee once in a while and you have a flare up, just know that coffee, you should be cautious of it if you're going to be cautious about your glutens. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Gluten, that's a whole nother topic we can go on there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an eye opener. People just, I didn't think they get caught up in the flavor, like Starbucks is caffeine,
Gosh, yeah.
and you were talking about espresso earlier, and I was like, I don't even think I'd want to experience what I would be like on espresso.
But it has less caffeine than drip coffee.
Any of it, I think I could probably drive my kids nuts, like get on their nerves if
Oh
you
my
give me
God,
some.
yes.
Yeah, so I don't. My husband's big on Starbucks, and I'm just like, how can you drink that? But everyone's got their own flavor they like. So
My husband just said yesterday, he's like, man, I mean, Starbucks, same customers all day long. And he enjoys the Starbucks gift card once in a while. Right now, he's kind of focusing on, alternatives like green tea, herbal teas, decaf, and, just skipping the whole thing for the day. But he's like, man, they're like gonna get in trouble for saying this, but he's like, they're like the drug lords of the country. The Starbucks with the caffeine and the sugar. And, oh my gosh.
oh yeah, I mean, you think about it, I mean, every Starbucks you see has a line of people either going through the drive-through or a line of people at the counter, and it's like, feed the addiction. It's like, why didn't I think of that? It'd be a good business. But there are, as you said, the green teas, black teas.
Yeah,
You get
and
the
Starbucks
green teas.
has those as well. So
that's good.
Yeah.
So the green teas with the matcha, you could go with, and I know they're in Arizona, but it's called Cool Beans. It's a mushroom-based teas, lattes, coffees.
Try that. I've heard of this.
Yes, and I've tried it. It's really good, and so I'm thinking, there might be an announcement coming this year of, a little adventure that I'm going to take on that.
Yeah.
But it's got the 6 mushrooms in there, so
Cool.
it gives you the same coffee effect for the taste.
Right.
It has no caffeine in it, so you're not going to get the highs and the lows and the jitters and the constipation and the cravings with it. You just get a really nice, even balance with it. My husband tried it compared to Starbucks. He said it's really not bad.
Wow.
That's so awesome. So I'll be making an announcement hopefully soon.
Yeah, let me know about that because I've recently heard about it. I want to try it. I'm big on the superfood mushrooms and the benefits they have for the body. So I thought that was something neat. But also yerba mate, it's an herbal tea. It's similar to the buzz or the mental high or whatever you guys want to call it on caffeine that people like, but it's just a little bit different and milder and more steady. So that's kind of another option as well.
What is your intake on the 5-hour energy drinks? Now I know several people that drink those to stay awake, to travel. And,
you're opening a can of worms right now. Is this topic? No, I'm just kidding.
No, but their speech is faster. Their heart's racing all the time. What are your thoughts on it? Because I'm not real big on that. I think that's kind of scary because you're setting your heart and your whole body up for this major thing that could happen, and it's like, it makes me nervous.
Oh gosh, yes. Well, I'm just going to ask everybody for forgiveness right now that I'm not going to put these thoughts in order. But some things that are coming up for me immediately is, okay, so there's like college students that'll have those so they can stay up and study for tests and stuff. But there's there's these things called white caffeine powder, and I'm not detouring off of your question about the energy drinks. But so like people, they could die off of caffeine. It's rare, but it does happen. And it's so sad when it's a college student and they don't know and their parents don't know that they're doing this and they're just trying to work harder in school. And it does. I mean, oh my gosh, your blood pressure goes through the roof. And this just messes up all of your hormones. There's like everybody on the planet's walking around with hormonal imbalance partially because of caffeine. And, who knows what else is in these gas station
Oh
energy.
gosh.
I mean, I actually just, it probably wouldn't even just be just caffeine that's the concern, but I wouldn't recommend them. They're not a whole
No.
food. They're not healthy. And here's the thing, guys. Our bodies are not meant, we're not computers. I mean, to an extent, we are fabulous, amazing computers. We've talked about this, I think, where, our eyes blink like they're supposed to and our heart beats like it's supposed to, but we're not made to be like at this super fast pace like when we are on caffeine all the time. So there is a crash. The body needs rest. And, I know people who are in their 40s and 50s, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted, but I still drink coffee all the time. There's nothing I can do to get more energy. You have to rest. Your body just needs to like
Hmm.
be turned off and dialed down and taken down a few notches and just, relying on caffeine, you're going to feel better if you don't. So I know
Yeah,
I didn't go into crazy detail, but those things scare me. I mean, they scare me.
they do me too. And I tell my kids, because if we're at the store and they see, I'm like, don't even think about it. Just don't
Mm-hmm.
even think about it. You're not going to start that.
Ugh,
You're too young, and I've got people, well, I need more energy. To be honest with you, and I'm not just saying this because, I'm an integrated health coach,
right.
but just from my own personal experience, you want energy? Start exercising.
Mm-hmm.
Make your exercising your ultimate high of the day, because
Increase your
that's
water, focus on your sleep. Go ahead, Jen.
exactly. But I think that just working out, whether it's outside, in the home, in a gym, you can create your own energy high off that, and it's going to be so much better for your body, your heart, overall body performance of health than drinking a 5 hour energy drink, drinking your coffees that you think you need, and your sodas, because those are actually what's going the opposite for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's movement, and change your diet.
Mm-hmm.
You can get energy from food. So,
Yep.
there's ways of getting it. And that's what Shauna and I are here for, is to help get you kickstarted on a lifestyle change, not a 6 month overall change, but a lifestyle.
Right. And a diet.
So what you do today, tomorrow, and the next day affects how you're going to feel for the rest of your life.
And think
But
and behave and react and, yep,
exactly.
decision
But
making.
but if you're stressed, there's ways of doing, breathing. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
have caffeine to deal with your stress. And sometimes people are stressed because of the stress they have thinking about the stress.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a continuous cycle.
Yeah.
So that's what we're here for, is to help you with your stress levels too.
Yep.
And in moderate intake of caffeine, it can be good for you and beneficial. But like you had said before, be cautious,
Yeah.
be mindful, and there's also a lot more hindrances that it's going to do to your body.
Yeah, the way Jen and I work with our clients is it's always, as positive experience as possible. We want our clients to feel great and know why they're doing what they're doing for their body. And therefore, when you have this connection of the why and the understanding, it's huge on the process. And so, what we're not telling you is neither one of us are telling you if you drink coffee all day long every day, quit it cold turkey because it's good for you. We're not doing that because that's not going to be a pleasant experience. You're not going to be happy. It's actually stated that caffeine withdrawals is a mental health condition if you just, stop it cold turkey and have all these symptoms and withdrawals and headaches and mood disorders and fatigue, irritability, depressed mood, difficulty concentrating. So, the best way to handle this is, like I said, I love it. It tastes good. It smells good. It's a nice, morning routine, but I just know that the risks and what it does to your body isn't worth it. And so, if you do drink caffeine every day or have high doses of caffeine every day, if this is something that us speaking to you, what we're sharing is resonating with you, and you think that this is important for you to consider, just sorry I dragged that out, but just transition. Have green tea instead, have black tea instead, have decaf instead. If you don't have to do anything today, just skip it and allow yourself to be tired and allow yourself to be rest. And so, you want to wean off of it. You want to transition. So alternate. It's kind of like a process. So if you have this crazy, dependency on coffee, alternate to something that's healthier, that's better, that has less caffeine, and then pay attention to how often you're having it. So just right? Just want to make sure
Right.
everybody's clear on that.
Right. A lot of times people just want something warm in the belly.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not so much, oh, I love my coffee, it's just something to warm me up,
Mm-hmm.
then go with the decaf green tea.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get the same effect, just going to warm you up.
Or bone broth.
But, yeah, there you go. That's good, too.
I know no one's going, oh, my God, that sounds so good. I have to have that instead of my coffee tomorrow. But the idea of it just sounds totally gross to me, but when I drink it, I'm like, this is delicious. Oh my goodness, like bone broth, just a hot broth is so good. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Or you can do hot water with some honey.
Yeah, or lemon.
Which is really good for you. So
it is.
So, yeah, there's a lot that caffeine does to the body, and we just want to bring that awareness and get you thinking.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, reach out to us. So we're here to help you.
Yeah, please feel free to email us at coaches@awakenhealthpod.com or like us on Facebook, Awaken Health Pod, our Facebook page, because we would love to answer your questions and we love seeing comments and feedback and everything that everybody's sharing. So continue reaching out and we'll continue sharing as much as we can with you. Were there any other topics that you wanted to talk about regarding this?
I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have like 5 hours a day. I mean, I could, but I think for the most part, we hit everything on the head.
Okay. Well, real quick, I did just want to share just a quick thing. So there's a little bit of confusion between coffee dehydrating you or not. So what happens is it's a diuretic, so it makes you pee more, you lose water. So some good alternatives or good supplementation to this concern for being dehydrated or drying out your skin and stuff like that would just, of course, water, pH water, fruits, infusing your water, adding lemon like Jen and I just mentioned. And I've had people come up to me and say, well, isn't lemon bad for your teeth and your enamel? And I'm like, well, yeah, it could be if it's excessive, but compared to coffee or 3 cups of coffee a day, let's just try some lemon water,
Right.
And even herbs like mint and rosemary are real hydrating and have an opposite effect than the diuretic. Not that it's going to bloat you like high doses of caffeine, but this is just some ways to freshen up, not think, well, I don't want milk, I don't want water, I don't want soda, so I guess I'll have coffee. There's just other things to drink. And so that was just kind of something I wanted to share. And
well, thank you.
I hope everybody, if they do lower their caffeine dosages or like the properties of teas and coffee and the antioxidants and such like that, try to keep maybe a journal where you pay attention to your bloating, your digestion, your sleep, your mood, your hunger, and then see the difference when you lessen this caffeine, and then it might help make a better decision for you on your future choices.
Exactly. I agree.
Well, what is next Monday's podcast? The second Monday of the month, or the third Monday of the month?
That would be the third.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll be back next week. Can't wait to talk to you guys again.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Shanna.
Bye.
Bye.